Tell us something that always makes you smile.
Anything about my family, kids.
That's actually a really cool sentence to say because mine drive me bananas. Hi, Toby Southgate. Thanks
Hello.
so much for popping over to the sofa for, what is it? An iced coffee, because it's
It
summertime.
is. Can you tell?
Yes, I can tell. You took the brief.
I did. Yeah.
What does after work mean to you?
I've struggled with this. After work is sort of a time-based
Yeah.
concept, isn't it? I think we're in work a lot of the time, and we can be separated from it for a bit. But it's that old notion of balance or integration, Like, so after work to me is more about probably 6 till 8 p.m. But that doesn't mean there's no work after that either. There's the balance and the integration that I think we all deal with in different ways, but that more and more is a part of the way that we work. There's no real off time. And I think that's a part of the creative industries as well.
I think it's wonderful, but I also think it's problematic for me because I find the mental load of running a business where you never switch off anyway, of, being with the kids, but sort of my head still being in work. I cannot really figure out how to get rid of that part of my brain.
Maybe that's healthy.
Do you think?
Yeah, because I think if you try to separate things entirely, you either get distracted because it's impossible, and then you always carry home and family with you because they're the most important things in your life, right? So you can't shut them out either from 8 till 6 in the daytime.
So maybe stop thinking of them as separate entities and start blending them and be okay with that.
Honestly, I've always thought that way, worked that way, operated that way. There are some overlaps you can't tolerate.
Yeah.
But with the appropriate boundaries and some guidelines that work for you, your family,
Shouldn't be that bad.
I don't think it's that bad. I think it's actually easier.
So let's talk about Forsman and Bodenfors.
Sure.
So last year you parted ways.
Yeah.
I think it's helpful to discuss what happens because it's a moment that most people in the industry have. As much as we'd like to have full control of our career and our career paths and our 5-year plan, it's good to know that that doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
So was it a shock departure?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a shock. It was a shock to think about what might come next because I was kind of 3 years in to a plan, made a lot of progress on a lot of metrics that meant a lot to me and to a lot of other people. And it's actually a healthy thing to be reminded that your plan might not be infallible and it might not be the only plan and there could be other options. And ultimately we all serve at someone else's pleasure. But I have huge support for everybody at Forsman.
And how did you feel, apart from shock at the time? Like there's always stages, because I've been made redundant before. And I went through these different stages. Like at first it was shock. Secondly, it was anger. Like how did you feel?
There was a moment of arrest, I would say, like wow, okay, shit. That's not what I expected. But then also immediately I can't and don't want to argue, but also want to protect the people in the agency that you've spent a ton of time over 3 and a bit years trying to move forwards and make progress. So I felt that was something to sort of sit back on and actually take a bit of pride in.
Yeah. And did the fear set in? Because, you have a big family like I do. Yeah. And, there's that pressure on you.
I mean, as soon as it sort of it took a couple of weeks to sort of settle so I could get my own plans in place. But I promised myself I wouldn't accept a job until I'd had 100 conversations.
Did you genuinely have 100 conversations?
Yeah, I did, genuinely.
That's mental.
Maybe more in the end.
That's
I mean,
exhausting.
these are not interviews, right? Some of them were interviews, but I just think there's an awful lot of exciting stuff going on in our world at the moment. More ways to build a career or build a role or multiple roles for people that have got some kind of leadership experience than there ever have been. And so I wanted to be really open to that. It's really hard to get a great job.
Yeah.
It's impossible to get a great job if you're in a great job. And because you just don't have time, right?
Yes.
You might get things thrown at you, or you might get a flattering phone call from someone. But to really put the time into deciding actively what is the best and right thing for me to do next with my, whatever it is, like 50, 60 hours a week. And I feel really, privileged actually to have had that chance. I didn't feel down. I mean, I came back probably with a bit more bounce or a bit more pep in my step about the year ahead and taking on something new.
And let's talk about the tattoo.
Yeah.
So you have a Forsman Bodenfors
I do.
tattoo.
Yeah, I do.
Can we see it, please?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And you got it at an office party.
Yes, I did.
And the real
There it
question is, are you keeping it?
Of course I am. Well, it was a huge part of my life for a long time, 3.5 years or whatever. That's a good shift. And I loved the place. Still love the place and the people and the culture and the work. And, it's a really special business, very pure.
You're a good person. I would be a lot more angry, I would believe, right in the laser shop, getting that taken off. And I really admire that, because you're right. All of this stuff we do, it molds us, right? And we learn from it.
Yeah.
And so to have that on your arm, it actually was a wonderful experience. So why would you want to take it off?
No, correct.
So you have just taken on the mammoth role of global CEO at We Are Social. How's it going?
Yes. 106 days ago.
Oh.
Yeah. It's great. It's a big place. There's a challenge or two. We've reached a size and a scale. The growth trajectory has been insane. The people that have led the business up to now have done phenomenal jobs. It's a big, global, just a little bit messy around the edges. There's a real opportunity to get focused on its next chapter. And in the sort of best possible, I have one of these, so it's not a disparaging comment. In the best possible sense, it's like a teenager ready to go out into the world and work out what it's going to be.
Okay, stupid question. What is the difference between a global CEO and a CEO? Like, do you have a collection of CEOs in every different office and you manage everybody? Like, what is it?
The global bit obviously is accountability for the whole, right? So whatever it looks like and however it's shaped, whatever leadership structures exist, it is the 1,200 people and the full P&L that is the accountability and the mandate of my role.
So do you oversee all of those regional CEOs?
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Is it a ton of travel?
I think it could be. It's important to have face-to-face connection, I think particularly at the beginning. I've done global roles for a while, and there is, there's efficiency of travel and purpose and doing it with intent. There's also, and someone told me this quite early in my career, a chairman at one of the agencies I worked at in WPP, who warned me against the dangers of what he used to call vanity travel.
Vanity travel.
So it's easy to hide on airplanes. Make sure you don't do that.
That's really interesting, because yes, I can see that as a global CEO, you could spend your whole life flying around to other offices.
Sure.
You've always been very good about being very, very deliberate and strategic about your travel. Yes. Can you tell me a bit more?
I mean, firstly, if I'm traveling to visit an office, I don't treat it as my time. Like if I'm visiting you in Singapore, I will expect, and we'll chat ahead of that visit, to say, look, I'm there for you. You tell me what you need me to do and I'll do it. I plan, someone also gave me this guidance, a 24-hour calendar. So, and it includes sleep. So if I'm in Singapore for a few days, I will let everyone know where I am. I'll hand over my 24 hours a day to the head of that business, and they can literally, point me and steer me wherever they need me to go. But I'll make sure there's time for sleep so everything else can be filled. I think that's one of the sort of the responsibilities of being away from family, is that, if I'm going to be away from them, I might as well just crush myself for a few days, fill the days that I'm away with as much of the work stuff as I can. It's easier to sort of compromise your personal time if you're away from family.
Just
so I do
dedicate yourself.
Yeah, I think that's really, it's important.
One of your mottos is no drama. So how do you reduce drama, both drama you're creating and drama from external forces?
It makes me very nervous to think I might be a cause of drama. I think it's a massive leadership responsibility to absorb those things, right? To absorb stress, drama, negativity. I've been in places where it's just pushed down, and that for me is like an abdication of responsibility. I see that leadership responsibility to absorb it, and what you can control is how you react to it. Creatively oriented businesses are human, and therefore they're fragile. That means that when there's if there's drama, it's usually unhealthy. All about communication and listening, and I think that's probably the best way to steer away from the drama and the fear. There's a point on consistency. If I went into a room and started, emotionally engaging with, a very loud and opinionated immovable stance on something, I think that would be quite surprising to people because it's not my consistent approach.
No.
So you've got a consistent approach that is you, therefore it's true and authentic and real.
Yeah.
And that's really important as well.
And we're not all robots, right? And we want different personalities in our business, but it's about how you lead those different personalities and how you stop things from becoming, I guess, a crisis point all the time.
Yeah, again, it's the human workplace, right? It's great to look at numbers on a spreadsheet and, aim for a margin target or a utilization rate or a staff cost ratio, but that doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah. Final question.
Okay.
What's your biggest professional mistake?
Taking too long to act on intuition. I'm quite old now, so I've been doing this for quite a long time.
Not that old.
Yeah. I feel like I've gone beyond the point of having intuition and ideas and taking too long to implement them. So I think that's probably a mistake or a learning, I'll say. Like
And that
you can
comes
see
with
things.
experience, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You can see things quickly, and acting on them is really where you make the difference, not talking about what you might do to maybe one day do them.
What's the best piece of advice you could give someone about to start their career in advertising?
Two things maybe. One, do it at the moment. I honestly think there's so much opportunity in the creative industries now, and with everything that's happening across, the global macroeconomic environment, and the shape and structure of the bigger holding companies, more opportunity than in 20 years. So one is do it, and the other, be smart about who you listen to, and listen a lot, like 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use them in those proportions, ask questions. It's a very giving kind of industry in my experience. So go out of your way to put yourself out there, introduce yourself to people, ask for a favor or two, learn.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Always a pleasure. And thank you for the brightness of the yellow today.
You did ask.
I could. All right. Can you imagine if you've said you were a great
fucking
leader.
great CEO.